Okay, so where do I start? So I'm just going to say a little bit about myself, right? Okay. Um, so I am a fiction writer. I write short and long fiction. Um, a lot of my fiction is speculative, so you there are times when I write like straight sci-fi, but most of the time, because sometimes I believe the things that I say, I write a lot. Speculation finds its way in mostly everything that I write, is what I'm trying to say. Um, so the piece that I'm going to read tonight is called Keiku. And basically, it is based off of the overturning of Roe versus Wade. So I hope that I don't trigger anyone. If I do, raise your hand and I'll try to move forward, okay? Um, it's a pretty personal experience to me, in that there are so many sides to the overturning of Roe versus Wade, and hopefully you'll be able to see those sides once I read the story. Let's see what else. This is also a celebration because I read here 2 years ago, and I was just beating cancer at that point, breast cancer. So thank you. So I'm very glad to be here. Thank you. Keiku. Can you guys hear me? Am I loud enough? Okay.
Yeah.
He's like, yes, okay. Okay. Like colliding atoms, he says, when I mention the floating amber eyes and round-chapped suckling lips. Makes you see shit ain't there. Really though, I challenge? You teach science. You know atoms are invisible, even when they collide. Not true, Thomas claps back. I read in a journal they fuzz a little when smashed. So you believe that I'm seeing what I'm seeing, I ask. We're having this conversation as I stand in front of the bathroom mirror, leaning over the vanity that sits low, just right for my 5'4" frame. Thomas stands behind me in the hallway. He hunches his shoulders. Sort of, maybe. I mock shrug him in return. That's all you have for me, Mr. Science Guy? All those videos with you in the white coat using vernacular demonstrations that usually end up in explosions to teach kids science? Like, what kid can bypass the chance to blow shit up or watch someone else do it? Thomas says. He smiles and steps inside the bathroom, collapsing his 6-foot frame until his body eclipses mine. I rub his tan brown arms as they wrap around my waist. His hands tap my protruding belly. Just a few more days, and we'll have her in our arms for real, he says, hooking his chin over my shoulder. The amber eyes recede some, forming an optical diagonal comparison between me, Thomas, and them. The eyes and mouth reveal nothing about gender and even less about their choice on the matter. So I refer to the apparition, this soul, not dead, not born, but somewhere in between, as they. Anyways, I'm not sure why they're here. Maybe to torture me for not having the nerve to move on, but hopefully to forgive. I tilt my head toward the mirror, searching my eyes. Light brown and walnut shaped, and then Thomas's, large, round, dark. Unlike the glaring amber-colored orb suspended above us both. Sometimes their little lips appear too, but not always. They have been coming to me since I found out I was pregnant over 8 months ago. I told Thomas the minute their visits became regular. At the time, we did not know we were having a girl, so I let him think that maybe our baby was giving me a preview. One time he even wondered aloud why the eyes would be amber and round different from us both. I didn't care to elaborate then, but I'm too scared not to now. I need to say something. How do you think it makes a woman feel when she lets someone destroy the life inside her, a life she wants? I did once, back when the man I was with was no man at all and took matters into his own hands. To hell with my choice. I've got to tell Thomas all about it. He won't understand if I wait much longer, especially with this little one days away from burrowing from my body, grasping for daylight. But why are her lips chapped, I ask. I don't know, Thomas returns. Maybe you need to drink more water? Thomas kisses my neck. When his eyes reach mine, I start, baby, you remember Sonny? The child inside me protests, kicking hard, repeatedly. Ouch, I complain, rubbing my belly until she calms down. It's almost like she knows her father already, an Aboriginal Hawaiian descendant raised in Houston, Texas. I met him there, where we were both teaching in a program that erased our student loans and covered tuition for master's degrees. Back in Houston, people often mistook him for being Afro-Mexicana or Negro. Anyways, we dated for the 3 years we were in the program. Afterwards, we were married and moved to Chicago, where I was raised. People here see us together, me with my closely cropped, knotty locks and caramel-colored skin, and him with his full lips, wide nose, and assume he's African American. But they're stumped by his thick, silky black curls and wonder aloud if he's mixed. Doesn't matter to me. Thomas and I are like a Venn diagram, different cultures, similar values. Like we both don't believe in abortion personally, though we support a woman's right to choose. Choose. I push past that word. I've got to tell him. He will understand, I think. I look past Thomas to see a suckling mouth hanging below amber eyes. Baby, did you hear that? What? Like someone smacking. Thomas's hands cease kneading my stomach. He stands up straight, searching my face. Do I need to get my TT to send us some tea leaves? He arches an eyebrow. A grin slants between his mouth and chin. For what? Thomas puts his hands on his hips. Chase away the evil spirits, that's what, he snorts. I exhale. Sharing my truth is going to be harder than I expected. They're not an evil spirit. My eyes tear as I search for the right place to say what's necessary. Thomas takes my hand and leads me to the bedroom. We get as far as the hallway when I become triggered by what happened between me and Sonny the night I lost my first baby. I was just 7 weeks along then. I jerk myself free. Thomas eases me off of his lap and looks through the gap between his legs to the floor. I'm sorry, I went to the wrong page. I jerk myself free. Front and back copying, sorry. I'm too far along, you know that. I'm angry now, thinking about Sonny, that selfish, bastard, who stole my choice. Thomas's grin flattens. Whoa. I just thought we'd hold each other. I'd never do anything to hurt our little girl. Maybe we shouldn't count our egg before she's hatched, I said. Thomas guides me to the bench in our hallway. He sits and pulls me into his lap. His head rests on my chest. He exhales. Tell me about Sonny, the jerk bastard that left you for that professor at Loyola. My head bobbles. You mean the dick who punctured my tires for 3 straight weeks when he found out I'd moved on? That dick? Thomas only knows that Sonny and I broke up twice because of my shattered trust. Sonny caused me to armor my spirit and particularly my heart. Thomas's patient, kind nature penetrated those rings of iron that had protected me from fake or any kind of love. He cared and adored me until I could return that sentiment. Did you run into him? He asked, alarmed. He leans back, searches my face, his eyebrows pinched together like one long caterpillar. Did he upset you? No, of course not, I say, wagging my head emphatically. Okay then, he says. I watch his eyebrows repel to their natural positions. But I know his okay is a signal he doesn't want to continue talking about Sonny. I think about letting go, but I know I've got to tell him. Honesty is a step toward forgiveness. Maybe then they can rest in my heart instead of haunting my mind. Maybe. I look toward the family room where a large window allows the sun to drift in and spread out. Their eyes are gone. The suckling mouth is silent. I leap ahead. I was pregnant before. Sonny was the father, I say. Thomas eases me off of his lap and looks through the gap between his legs to the floor. What? But you told the doctor you had never been. My eyes hold unto the sun, reaching toward me from our living room window and encouraging me to keep going. I was ashamed. Too ashamed to tell me, he asked. I don't answer that. I was about 7 weeks when Sonny broke up with me. You had to go through a pregnancy by yourself. What happened to the baby? Adoption? Never got that far, I say, wishing I could be one with the sun, sort of like the moon before it was expelled to wander the night. Suddenly, the baby inside me busies herself, moving and kicking and something else. The lower part of my stomach clutches, releases, and starts over again. My eyes squinch with every tense contraction. Ooh. Thomas rises from his seat, kneads my shoulders. His forehead wrinkles. Is it time, he asks, his voice cracking like a pubescent boy. Not yet, but awfully close, I say. I need to finish this, I pause. The tears roll as I go on. I thought we were having makeup. Okay. I thought we were having makeup sex until all the blood and the clots. What the hell? Thomas says. Anger tightens his features and then relaxes. He takes a deep breath. Go on, he says. My chin drops to my chest. I'm partly to blame. I should have known better. Sonny had told me he never wanted children. I bend over and cradle my stomach. Oh boy, that was something right there. Thomas runs into the bedroom, grabs my purse and suitcase. We've got to go. Tell me later. He races toward the garage door, tosses my and the baby's things inside the car, and returns for me. Thomas, I'm not going anywhere until I tell you this. Tell me while we're walking. Start with the part of how makeup sex led to aborting your baby, and don't forget to breathe. His voice is tight with something I can't figure out. Judgment, maybe? I hope not. But I can't stop with half of the truth, which really isn't the truth at all. I blow air out of my mouth in quick intervals, like panting, but not really. I didn't think a hand and an arm could be as efficient as a hanger. It happened just after the right to abortion was dismantled in some states. It was still a question here in Illinois, but I didn't know that's what he wanted so that he could be with her. I thought he was coming back. The foreplay was more vigorous than usual, but it didn't feel wrong until the blood, Thomas finished, and the globs and globs of clots. When stuff stopped gushing from my body, Sonny kissed my forehead and walked out the door. I didn't hear from him again. What did you think had happened? Right after, I took myself to the ER where they informed me that I'd miscarried and performed an emergency D&C. I said, "Whoa, time?" "Definitely," I say. Thomas and I ride to the hospital in silence, except for an occasional "Help me, Jesus" from me. When we arrive at the emergency room entrance, he helps me into the wheelchair and trots a distance behind the patient advocate, who pushes me to the nurse's station, where they triage me to a birthing room. A little later, Thomas strokes my hair, feeds me ice chips. "Can you forgive me?" I ask. You didn't know what he planned to do, and even if you had participated, that reversal of rights made a lot of people do things they normally wouldn't. No, I don't blame you. I love you. The amber eyes return, glaring. They may think differently, I point and whine. Well, they would be wrong, Thomas returns, looking around and seeing nothing. I smile, then grimace. 12 hours and too many relentless contractions later, the baby is ready to meet us and the world. A round-faced nurse with kind eyes asks, "Are you ready for the doctor, you think?" I nod, and minutes later, the room is filled with a doctor and a second nurse. The doctor positions herself at the foot of the bed. Her hand lays lightly atop my body. "The time is here," she says. "Push." I talk to the amber eyes. "I am so sorry. I loved you, wanted you." I pause, watching. The amber eyes fix harder on me. Disbelief, I think. Someone turns on music. I am happy they plucked a tune from the favorites on my playlist. Beyonce's "If I Were a Boy" plays softly in the background. I redirect my focus. Impressionist art, soft blue walls, floral curtains. The doctor's voice ushers me back to the task at hand. The hard amber eyes linger above me. "I know what you're thinking," I say to them. "I don't deserve to be a mother. If I couldn't protect you, how can I?" Woo! "Mother, push," the lady doctor urges. "Push." She squeezes the word up from her diaphragm through her larynx and out her mouth. The amber eyes zoom in on my face, and I tent my knees, ignoring the doctor's orders. Guilt and shame lodge into the burrows of my brows. The doctor pulls my knees apart. "These must stay apart so you can see the baby when she comes," the doctor says quietly. I squeeze my eyes shut, hold my breath. I want this baby so badly, but I betrayed the one before. How can I move forward? The amber eyes settle on top of my stomach. Their mouth lets out a low whine. Only I can hear. Do they agree? They know I let them down? That's why they're here? I lurch toward the apparition. Both of my arms reach for something the doctor thinks are a reaction to another harsh contraction. "Mother, please, if you don't get in this game, the little one, or both may not survive," she says, sweat forming on her forehead. "Bernie, push," Thomas begs. "I let them down," I gasp, looking into the amber eyes. "I'm so sorry." I blow out quick breaths. "You're right to be here." My voice goes up several octaves to remind me I don't deserve this baby girl, not even your love, Thomas. The doctor and nurses look quizzically at Thomas, who ignores them. This is something else our cultures share, no talking about family business in public. Thomas kisses my hand. He counts the ways we love each other. Somewhere around number 10, he wraps up with, "You'd sooner sacrifice yourself than harm someone else, especially a baby." The amber eyes soften to a brilliant brown. I timidly part my knees to see that Thomas has moved from my side to the foot of the bed. His cheeks peak in anguish. He bites down on his lower lip. His dark hooded eyes plead, "Bernie, you can do this. Push." "Push," Thomas says again. "Sonny stole your choice. I never will. He could live without you. I cannot." The doctor exchanges a glance with the nurses. One slants her eyes and twists her lips. The other hunches her shoulders. Then, through medical equipment whirs, a tiny voice says, "First in your heart, though not with you long, I felt your love's warmth, no blame." I hear their lips suckle, and then a tiny but firm, "Mom, push." "Ooh," I release, welcoming their validation. "Ooh." Thomas's eyes bulge, and the doctor leans forward. "Mother, I see the head. I need you to push harder." Relief from the guilt and shame I have carried since my first failed pregnancy is almost immediate after that. The amber eyes twinkle and fade like embers. "Come on, Bernie," Thomas encourages. "Let's meet our little girl." A smile wraps around my face before a contraction knocks it flat. I bear down with everything I have until my world opens for our little girl to enter. A nurse lays the baby onto my chest, using a thin blanket to swaddle the two of us together. I unwrap the blanket to count the fingers and the toes. Thomas moves back to my side. He cradles my head as we stare into our child's large, and maybe loud, brown eyes. "Still want to name her Amanda after my mother?" I ask, tilting my head to look him in the eyes. "Nah." She seals us as one, releases us from our past. "From here on, it's just about moving forward," he says. I nod. "So not Amanda? I guess you've given up on getting my mother to forgive you for marrying her daughter." "Nope. I still want her acceptance, but I don't need her forgiveness. It's not my fault you picked a teacher over some dude from Black Wall Street." The nurse intercedes. She places my breast in the baby's mouth. "I'll visit you tomorrow to see how the breastfeeding is going, Mother, just in case you have questions or concerns." My heart is full. I'm exhausted and sore, but I can't stop smiling. "Okay, Mr. Not Black Wall Street. Since she marks forgiveness, what's a good name?" "Kaiku, forgiveness, child," Thomas says, kissing the child lightly on the cheek. Her eyes sparkle like an old knowing soul, a sage. My fingers brush wisp of hair on her head. I nuzzle her face. "Good morning, Keiku. I almost missed you." Thank you.